Hello, my name is Steve Burks, and I'm a Sage 100 consultant here at DWD Technology Group. Today, I'm going to be showing you the two different ways that a check can be marked as voided in Sage 100 and the Accounts Payable module. And then there's also a way to clear out those voided checks from your check history so that they will not show up on your reports and things like that. So the first way to to void a check is to go to the Accounts Payable module and go into manual check and payment entry. When you open this up, you're going to select your bank code. My bank code is A, that my check is coming from, and the check number that you want to void. So I'm avoiding check number 1612. You'll get the message, is this a check reversal? You'll click no. And then it comes up as blank. And then what you want to do is just click accept here. And it says, is this a void check? Click yes to void the check. Click no to enter an amount for the check. Or click delete to delete the entry. So I'm going to click yes. So here, now I've done the entry for the voided check, but now I have to do the register and update it to check history. So we're going to run the manual check and payment register. I'm going to preview them so you can all see them, and I can update them because of my access to the system. So what we have here is the manual check and payment register, and it shows that check 1612 is a void check on 11/4/2025. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. It's going to ask me to update that, and I'll click yes. And then ask me to update the daily transaction register, which there will be nothing going to GL because we just had the one voided check. So hence the file is empty. So we click OK. So now if I go to my Accounts Payable check history report, and I decide to run it for those options, so it's all auto checks or manual checks, and then show voided checks as well. I'm going to select my ending period as 12/31/2025 because I just did the void check this month in November of 2025. And then I'm just going to select bank code A. So that's the only records I receive. So when I preview the history report, you can see now that there's a 1612 for the check for $75 and a 1612 where the check has been voided. So we're going to close that down. That's how you can manually void a check in manual check entry. The other way a check can get voided is by going through your check printing and electronic payment. So let's say we go in here to invoice payment selection. We're going to do a selection, and I'm going to select two different checks from two different vendors. Okay. To pay. Two invoices, that is. So I build my thing. I do the print to do the Accounts Payable invoice selection listing. And I preview this to make sure that I have the right information. So this shows my two selections. And then I close this guy down. It'll ask, do you want to print the checks? At this time I do. So I click yes. And so we're starting with bank code A. We're going to change that back to A. We're going to start with the check number starting at check number 1755. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to print, and my printing is going to go to a PDF printer. So you'll see some different messages that you will not see when you're doing your printing. It's all because of my printer that I use. So I'm going to save the PDF, replace it because I already have it out there. That's a thing for my printer. And it's going to say, okay, my last check number is 1756. So I printed two checks. So I say, okay. It prompts me to remove my checks. And then I'm going to say no to this check register. So let's say, for example, you print your checks to a regular printer. They print upside down, or the printer jams, and you run into problems that way. So you need to reprint the checks. In that instance, as we go back into check and payment processing, because we haven't updated the register, those two records are still out there. And then we start with 1757, whereas before it was 1755. So in the last run, I printed checks 1755 and 1756. But here's what I need to do. I need to print checks already printed and print again. So now, like, you're going to send it to your printer or however you guys normally do it. This is going to my PDF printer that I use on my local machine. I forgot to close the PDF. So we'll close that there and replace it. And get that message off of there. So now I'm at check 1758. And I say OK. And this is the reminder to remove your checks if you have that also pop up. Now this time I am going to print the check register because my check's printed fine. So I go into check register printing. And again, I'm going to preview it because with my settings I can update from preview. So this is my check register journal posting for those two checks. You see I have 1757 and 1758 are the checks that I'm going to have printed and updated. So I'm going to update the header. And it says, do you want to print the daily transaction register? Of course I do. Again, I'm going to preview because of my settings. Show you this is what's going to the different GL accounts in my system. And then I'm going to update the daily transaction register. Now, if we go back to our accounts payable check history report, and we, again, change this guy to be that, we can just leave, let's just uncheck those, make this bank code A, and we're going to preview the report again. So again, you will see that check 1612 is a voided check, and that's the one we did through manual check entry. And if we scroll down here now, you'll see 1755 and 1756 are also voided checks because those are the ones in my scenario where I said they got messed up in the printer, printed upside down, or something went wrong. So we had to reprint the checks, and now they're showing on check 1757 and 1758. Also, sometimes what can happen is somebody types in a check number on the check printing screen, and they type in, like, let's say check number 1 and print the checks, and so it puts them all out there. Well, then before they update, they go, oh wait, I'm supposed to be at check 10,000. So they change the check number to 10,000, do the reprint checks, on the checkbox on the check printing, and it'll print those checks starting from 10,000, but it'll void all the checks between 1 and 10,000. So you would see a bunch of voids in here because it thinks those checks have been voided. So now what we can do is we can actually then, in that case scenario, or in any case scenario, say you want to remove the voided checks from your check header because you just don't want to see them on report. So if you go to the AP Utilities menu and go to Remove Voided Checks, you'll get a small screen here. You can enter a starting and ending bank code. I'm just going to go A to A because that's the only ones I want to remove. And then you can start with a specific check number and end with a specific check number. In my case, test data, I'm just going to go from beginning to end. So then you just click on the Proceed button. It'll prompt you, do you want to remove the voided checks for bank code A through A with check number 0 through 9999? And you say yes to do that, runs the process, exit out. So then if you go back into the Accounts Payable Check History Report, and we do the same settings as we did last time. So we unclick these. Oops, change this ending date to my period 12, sorry. And then I do bank code A, and I preview the report. So now you can see check 1612 void is gone. Okay, so the only thing showing in check history is where you wrote the check originally for $75. And down here, you see 1755 and 1756, which were voided checks because of the issue we had. and you just see the 1757 and 1758. So that's the way you can kind of check to make sure everything is out. So in short, that is basically the quick process to remove voided checks. Like I said, sometimes people do it because they mess up the check numbers and get a large amount of voided checks in there because they do the reprint check thing like I did as a second example. And they just want to clear that out because they don't want to see those on reports. I hope this was understandable, and thank you for listening.